Guys, I'm gonna just take you on a trail ride here. This is my first trip out with Vegas when we were in the mountains. This is the first trip by herself. So I just got her on a loose rein. I'll just kind of talk about what I'm doing and what I'm thinking about on the way. Right now, I've just got her on a really loose rein, and camp is back to the right. So you've seen she thought about taking that trail to the right. Didn't take much correction, and she's back on a loose rein again. Um, I'm really loving how she's walking out. This is a pretty good climb right here, and she just goes to work, puts her head down. She's looking ahead. She's been on this trail. This was the second time she's been on this trail. She went. This was our first trail as a group, and yes, I'm just showing you some scenery there. It's so pretty out there, but and I do multiple things. I'm walking her. I trot. Up in the flat. I'll pick up the lope a little bit, and I'm just making sure she's following a feel of my seat and my reins, looking for something to correct. And she never really, she never really done anything. She never looked at anything that was there was any kind of a problem. I go through some water holes, and um, she goes right through everything. But even if she is cautious, she follows a feel of my seat, and I never push a horse fast when they're afraid of something. I just inch them up a little bit, and if I feel that they kind of balk and they don't go any closer, then I can back them away, turn them around, and go approach it again. Because what that'll give me is a good read on them. Because if they get closer the next time, then it tells me it's confidence. So I get a good read on them. Because there's two reasons a horse will balk and not go into any kind of a fear. One is genuine fear. The other is dominance. It's just a battle of wills, and because you're asking them to go that way and it's away from home or away from their buddy, any of those things will motivate her not to go. And once I know what it is, I know how to handle it. So anytime, and I don't have that problem with her, at a very high level as far as the dominance goes. If you guys have seen the fly spray, when I'm spraying her down at Liberty, you would have seen some dominance when I go to send her. And that's kind of what it is. She just shakes her head. It's in there a little bit, but it doesn't take much to get it out. She is a very, uh, pretty dominant mare in the herd, but I've sent her enough times for some, arguing different things that I'm always addressing the pecking order. And I don't really have to do it here. And I'll show you at the end of this ride, I get off and walk down this hill because it's pretty steep, and I like giving them a break going downhill. It's easy for me to walk down, and it sure gives her a break. But what I'm checking for, and you'll see it in the video there, when I walk down, she stays behind me. She doesn't push on my shoulder lining at all. I even test her. I stop real quick and back her up. And as I find that's a big one, especially going home, when you're going back towards camp with her buddies there, it's real easy for a horse to have a lot of anxiety. And in fact, as soon as you head back towards home, the anxiety comes up. And I test her out. Like I lope her away from camp, and then I lope her towards camp, just to check that out. Because it gives you something to work on. Like if they're anxious going back towards camp, then I would, put her sideways and bend her around my leg, kind of thing. Um, just get her following a feel, because it's all about leadership. If that first correction when she tried to go back to camp, is all I'd do is correct her one time, and there's been a couple other trails that go back to the right that would lead back towards camp. That usually a horse will always lean back towards camp, but she really didn't. I just put my hand straight forward, and she just followed wherever I went, wherever I pointed her to go. And it's because she just believes in me, and it doesn't take very much to get that out of her. And that's the cool thing about it, because I've been on lots of trail rides, lots of first trail rides with horses and stuff, and it don't generally go this good. In fact, it's to be able to tape the first one, have the camera in my hand and film a lot of it is yeah, it's pretty unreal. It usually takes two hands. I don't know what happened there. Oh, I think she wanted to go left, and I said let's go to the right. And yeah, so I just kind of left it running so you guys can see some scenery. Um, Here's a water crossing. I just was gonna, I just filmed it in case she wouldn't go across or whatever. She's drinking good. She drank really good all week that we were camped out there, which is another good thing. And she hauled really good. This was her first trip. I hauled her to Alberta to do some camps, and I hauled her by herself. It's a 11-hour trip to get there. She walked off the trailer, never made a peep, never whinnied at any of the other horses around. Went right to her pen, met me at the gate. Um, every day except for there was one day that I went to catch her. She had been, I think, fighting with another horse over the fence, and she was kind of wound up a little bit. I had to push her around one day. After that, she met me at the gate every day, which is pretty cool. So I think I'm going to fast forward this here in a bit. Let's let her get through this water here. And I'll just fast forward it until I get to something cool. So yeah, as soon as I get across the stream, there you climb out a little bit more, and we come into a flat. It's really pretty there, and I start asking her to trot, and we even go into a lope. But the cool thing was is she stayed. There's lots of different trails, as you'll see. She stayed right underneath my hand wherever I pointed her. She went. Um, this this trail ride gave me lots of opportunity to get her to softly push off my leg one side then the other. So I just opened my rein to neck reiner and just lay my outside leg back a little bit, and she started following that because it's so easy to do because the trail is not just one trail. There's a little rock that she looked at right there. All she did was look at it and carried on. She never, tried to pretend to spook game at all. She just looked at it, and as soon as it didn't move, she carried on. But this look at all these trails. So there's multiple trails here. So people probably would line out and ride side by side, but you can see all these different tracks. And I was just playing with her. I got her into a trot, and I just put her on one trail and then the other. Pick my trail wherever I wanted to go. She'd take it right away. Sorry about the camera. I'm a little bit bouncy here. And then I trotted for a ways and then picked up the lope. And as soon as I just kissed and started adding my leg, and she picked up the lope right away. Um, and still stayed right underneath my hand on a really loose rein. Kind of makes me car sick to watch that. Sorry, guys, but it's really pretty in here. And we got caught in a storm when we had all the kids with us on the way back from this lake. This goes into a lake up here, but we got caught in a thunderstorm and had to run for the trees, and the trees are right over there. And as soon as I looked over there, then she she tried to go over there because she knew that's where we held up in the storm there for a bit and let it pass. The hail was coming at us just sideways. It was a pretty violent storm. All the horses wanted to turn their tail to the storm, so we got the kids in there right away and got them off their horses. I just put her back to real time here again. It was kind of a deep mud hole, and she veered her a little bit, and I just turned her back and forth so I could put her through it. She didn't really have any issues all week to really work on, other than one time I think it was on the first day, on the second ride. We come back and had a little bite to eat, and then we went on another ride, and I let the horses get out in front of us a little bit, and she got a little anxious, and that's on another video about walking, and I just had to bend her and send her around my leg, and she melted to that, and that's really the only correction. And that was on our way into a cabin, and like she melted enough after that, and that I was able, and I had her one-handed by then. She's steering pretty nice one-handed, so I led my grandson out and give my wife a break, and I led him through some water holes and stuff on her, and she was really quiet about that as well. And I mean, there's no way I would have taken hold of my grandson if I didn't feel I had complete control over her. She's just been a superstar. She's felt like a broke horse, you know, um, through this whole thing, and to just everything is her first. She's just so confident in everything she does, and doesn't argue about anything I'm asking her. That's the cool thing. Again, I keep finding those in my life. Those horse, I call it the horse I never knew. Like it's so uncommon to have a 4 year old, that hasn't had very little time. I don't know how many rides she's had now, but I basically started riding her at the apprentice camp in May, and I mean the girls know I was sporadic when I'd ride her. I probably got, I don't know, 5 or 6 rides on her, maybe a little more than that. I don't think many more than that. And then I went to Alberta, and I did ride her pretty consistent at the clinic there. I think I gave her probably 3 days off, so I probably rode her seven rides on the clinic in Alberta, and at the two camps. And she just got so smart. Look, this view is really cool when I come into this lake. It's just so magical here. And there was a couple there on foot. I didn't want to get them in the camera in case they didn't want to be filmed. But yeah, she just walked out to the lake. I'll just give you a view of the lake here in a second, I think. I think I'm just trying to get her out there a little bit more. It's pretty shallow. You can go out there a ways. It's a pretty magical spot right there for sure. We went to the other side of the lake. I think it was yeah, it was the day that we got rained on. We took the kids and the fishing rods and stuff, and they were fishing off the other side of the lake. I don't think nobody caught anything, but then the storm started moving in. We decided we better head back to camp with the kids. I'm just on my way back now. Kind of the same thing. And when I'm out on a trail ride, I don't want to. That's why I wanted to, trot her and lope her away from camp, so that she don't think the only time she's going to be trotting and loping is towards camp. I want to do both. I just run into Kelsey and David. They're on their way into the falls. It's past that lake, but I needed to get back for the Zoom. We had a Zoom going on, so I needed to get back for that. So that's why I'm hustling back for that. Yeah, this is all real time, so I'm speeding her up through them water holes and trying to be as steady as I can. Sorry if this makes you guys seasick. Yeah, you can see when I turned her, when I felt her go to one side, it's normal that they'll go to the side of a puddle rather than step in it. But I just had to open my hand and lay my leg on her. I never even um, touched her rein. She just got so soft and so feely from direction. She never argued the direction once, and that's all key, guys. In right back to send off food, right? When you can get them to follow a subtle feel without any arguments, because they know they've already predetermined the outcome. They know that every command you ask is followed by the ability to make them jump as though they were jumping away from an alpha horse, like jumping away from another horse chasing them off the round bale or off a pile of hay or the watering trough or whatever. So once that consistency is there and they know that, then you can be super subtle and really start creating a pattern of, if they're late, they got to hurry a little bit more than if they would have been early. And so I just keep that the same. So for a steer, if I ask her to steer and she didn't turn, and I slowly kept adding that pressure, And then when I decided she was late, I could spin her all the way around, instead of just releasing when she turned over and let her go. Because that's what I find we do is, when we use pressure and release to talk to a horse, if I want to turn her to the left and she don't go, I just pull harder until I make her go and then release when she goes. But I've learned to get right out of that thinking. I just going to suggest now, I suggest that she go to the left, and I've got a time frame that she has to be within to make that decision. If she don't make that decision to turn, I'm going to follow through with a spin all the way around and then set it up so I can ask her again. I don't want to add any other command or even go 5 seconds down the trail. I'm going to ask her immediately again to see if I got to spin her twice or 4 times, right? And I just stopped her there to make sure she would stop and be still. Oh, I got off her. This is where I got off her and lead her down the trail. But yeah, so I want to make sure that all my suggestive commands are met, or I can follow through. Like right here, she's staying behind me on a loose rein. I stop, she stops. Now the correction would be if she didn't, I would back her up that trail. And this trail's pretty steep, but I would make her go backwards up that trail. And each time she pushed the line, I would make her back bigger, right? So if you can wrap your head around that, then we fall right out of that trap of making them do things, right? We suggest, follow through with an alpha scoot. Suggest, follow through with an alpha scoot. Pretty soon, all you got to do is suggest, and you never have to do the alpha scoot anymore. And they just so easy to not only train, but to maintain in the future. Yeah, like again, it's pretty rare in my life that I've ever had one, especially going back to home where all her buddies are at camp and be on a loose rein behind me. Right, camp's kind of at the bottom of this hill. The anxiety usually gets high. So, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Take care. See you on the next one.